Okay. Have you ever just stumbled across something online that's so out there, it just makes you stop and think, like, what is going on?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Well, buckle up because today we are diving headfirst into a really, really wild one. It's the theory that Katy Perry, get this, faked the moon landing.
Yeah, you heard that right. I mean, when this suggestion came across our desk, even we did a bit of a double take.
Right.
But yeah, as we started looking into it, looking at the online chatter, let's call them creative interpretations people have, it's weirdly consistent in its own way.
It is. It has this strange internal logic, doesn't it? Even though, let's be clear, the foundations are pretty shaky.
Extremely shaky.
Absolutely. And just so everyone listening knows, our goal here isn't to convince you this is real. Trust us, it's not.
Definitely not.
But we want to kind of take it apart, unpack it, show you where this idea comes from, what the supposed evidence is, basically give you the shortcut through this internet rabbit hole.
Consider us your guides through the bizarre.
Uh-huh.
So, okay, let's start with the core claim. What exactly are these theorists saying?
Okay, so the main idea, right, is that Katy Perry, the pop star, is somehow like deeply involved in a huge conspiracy about space travel.
Involved how?
Well, some think she's basically a tool for NASA, using her fame, her platform, to kind of subtly push what they see as NASA's fake stories about space.
Okay, like propaganda.
Exactly, but then it gets even wilder. Some people suggest she was actually involved in, like, restaging the moon landing sometime.
And staging it, like, recently.
Yeah, or reinforcing the original fake staging. It's honestly breathtaking how far it goes.
Wow. Okay, that definitely grabs your attention. Now, theories like this don't just pop out of nowhere, right? It usually connects to older stuff.
Totally. This definitely builds on pre-existing conspiracy theories. A big one is just general skepticism about NASA,
The moon landing hoax itself.
Precisely. The idea that the 1969 landings were faked, that NASA or whoever uses Hollywood, uses music stars to keep pushing this lie.
Right. So how does Katy Perry specifically get dragged into that narrative?
Okay, this is where it gets really symbolic and kind of fascinating in a weird way. Theorists basically comb through her music videos for big performances, especially the 2015 Super Bowl show, and they look for symbols, things they link to, the usual suspects, Freemasons, the Illuminati,
Of course.
or in this case, directly to NASA's supposed secret agenda. For them, it's like she's speaking a hidden language in plain sight.
Right. So let's focus on that Super Bowl show then. That seems like a key moment for them.
Right.
What specifically did they latch onto?
Well, the Super Bowl was like a gold mine for these interpretations. First, her entrance, right? Coming down on that giant golden star.
Yeah, I remember that.
Some see that as Venus, which
Yeah.
they connect to like Luciferian stuff. Others say it's NASA imagery. Then you add the backup dancer.
The sharks. And the beach balls.
Well, yeah, but also the ones dressed as shooting stars, aliens. All very cartoony space themes. They see that as just blatant reinforcement of the space myth.
Okay, so the obvious space stuff. Anything else?
Oh, yeah. They point to the stage floor, that huge black and white chessboard pattern.
The checkered floor.
Yeah.
Classic Illuminati Masonic symbol in conspiracy circles.
Exactly. And also all the fire and light motifs throughout the show. Some interpret that through an occult lens, like sun worship or something. So the big picture interpretation for these theorists is that the whole halftime show is basically this big, coded, space-themed ritual designed to hammer home NASA's version of reality.
It really shows how much meaning people can find or, impose on things when they start from a place of distrust.
Totally. And is there any, specific source pushing this interpretation?
Yeah, there's a website, Vigilant Citizen, that's pretty well known for this kind of symbolic breakdown of pop culture. They did a whole analysis of her halftime show that, it feeds a lot of this thinking.
Gotcha. Okay, so moving from the Super Bowl to her music videos, E.T. seems to be another big one for them.
Definitely. The E.T. video, visually, is pretty striking, right? You've got her floating in space.
Right, then landing on this ruined Earth.
Exactly. And there's satellite wreckage, these weird robotic figures she interacts with. It's very sci-fi.
So how do they interpret that?
They see it as a prime example of something called predictive programming.
Okay, explain that. What is predictive programming in this context?
So in conspiracy theory land, predictive programming is the idea that the media, movies, music videos, whatever, is used to sort of subtly get the public used to ideas or future events that the powers that be are planning.
Like seeding the idea.
Exactly. So for the theorists, the space imagery, the aliens, the ruined Earth and E.T., it's all meant to subconsciously prepare us to accept fake space stories later on. Maybe even a staged alien arrival orchestrated by NASA.
Wow. Okay. It's a way to make sense of things, I guess, if you believe there's a hidden hand controlling everything.
It provides a framework, yeah. Gives a feeling of understanding hidden motives.
All right. What other videos do they point to? Wide Awake comes up a lot too, right?
Yes. Wide Awake. That video has this whole narrative about her breaking free from some kind of fake controlled reality, like a dream state.
Yeah, I remember she punches her manager or handler.
Right. Punches a handler figure. She navigates this maze, a labyrinth full of symbols, light and dark, duality stuff. And then at the very end, she wakes up.
So the interpretation is...
They see it as meta-commentary.
Yeah.
Like Katy herself is symbolically showing her own awakening, or hinting that she knows the entertainment industry is part of this big illusion, maybe the space illusion.
So the video itself is the message, almost like a confession.
Kind of, yeah. A subtle wink to those in the know, according to them.
And they even analyze her name change, don't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The fact she went from Catherine Elizabeth Hudson to Katy Perry.
It just seems like a normal stage name thing.
Not to them. They see it as symbolic. A rebirth. Not just as a pop star, but as like a programmed asset for NASA or the Illuminati.
Seriously?
Seriously. And that ties into even crazier stuff, like that completely baseless, debunked theory linking her to JonBenet Ramsey.
Oh, God, yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah. Debunked is the word.
Totally debunked. But it still floats around in these same circles, adding to the general, nothing is as it seems vibe around her.
So, okay, this all loops back to the original moon landing hoax idea itself. How do they connect her modern work to that specific event from decades ago?
Well, the basic moon landing hoax idea, as you probably know, is that NASA didn't have the tech in '69, so they faked it. Maybe got Stanley Kubrick to help film it after he did 2001, A Space Odyssey.
Right, the Kubrick connection.
So theorists see Katy Perry's constant use of space themes in videos, performances, as part of an ongoing psyop, a way to keep the lie alive for younger generations who didn't live through the original landings.
So she's like Kubrick's successor in perpetuating the hoax.
Essentially, yeah. Keeping the illusion going through pop culture.
And naturally, the Illuminati have to be involved somehow.
You know it. Can't have a grand conspiracy without the Illuminati, right?
Seems not.
So they point to all the symbols supposedly associated with her that they also link to the Illuminati. The all-seeing eye, or one-eye symbolism.
You see that everywhere in pop culture analysis.
Yep. References to Baphomet, butterfly imagery, which they connect to monarch mind control programming.
Okay.
Checkered floors again. Phoenix imagery representing death and rebirth. It's a whole checklist of supposed occult or secret society symbols.
And just to be clear, the Illuminati in this context are seen as this secret group pulling all the strings, right? And Freemasonry gets lumped in too.
Exactly. The Illuminati is the shadowy cabal, and Freemasonry, while a real organization, gets painted with the same brush in these theories, secret knowledge, hidden symbols controlling things from behind the scenes.
So what's the supposed chain of logic? If Katy uses Illuminati symbols and the Illuminati control NASA, then...
Then, according to this logic, she becomes a pawn. Whether she knows it or not, she's using her platform to push the agenda, which includes the space deception narrative linked to NASA.
It's quite a leap.
It's several leaps, yeah, based entirely on symbolic association.
Has Katy Perry herself ever, commented on any of this stuff?
She actually has,
yeah.
Mostly joking about conspiracy theories in general. Flat Earth, moon landing stuff.
Any specific examples?
There was a tweet from her back in 2016. She wrote something like, "Someone just told me the moon landing was fake." What?
Okay, sounds like someone reacting normally to hearing that theory?
To most people, yes. But in the conspiracy world, that tweet caused a stir.
Oh boy, how?
They debated it endlessly. Was it just a joke? Or was it maybe like a coded message? A subtle hint that she knows the truth. Some genuinely thought it might be a kind of veiled confession.
Wow. Reading a lot into a tweet.
That's kind of the hallmark of these theories, isn't it? Finding deep meaning in ambiguous things.
Yeah. Okay, so we've laid out all these connections, these interpretations, but it's really important we ground this for everyone listening.
Absolutely crucial. Let's be extremely clear here.
Despite all this intricate web weaving, all the symbolic analysis, there is zero, absolutely zero, credible evidence to support any of this.
None whatsoever. The idea that Katy Perry faked the moon landing, or a part of some NASA cover-up, It's pure speculation built on interpretation.
Right. As we've seen, it all relies on reading meanings into symbols, this idea of predictive programming, which isn't science, and just a baseline assumption that celebrities are automatically part of some deep state occult plan.
Exactly. And understanding that is important for you, the listener, because it shows how these narratives can take hold, how easily things can be twisted, even if they seem completely bizarre on the surface.
But even though it's totally baseless, you have to admit the theory itself is kind of a fascinating cultural object, isn't it?
It really is. It's a perfect example of an internet rabbit hole. How people online can take pop culture, mix it with paranoia, sprinkle in some symbolism, and build these incredibly detailed, sprawling narratives.
Almost like modern folklore, in a way.
Kind of, yeah. And as we mentioned, you find this stuff primarily online. Websites like that Vigilant Citizen one, Reddit forums like Her Conspiracy, certain YouTube channels dissecting the music industry, forums associated with figures like David Icke. That's the ecosystem where these ideas grow.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive then, the whole Katy Perry fake the moon landing thing, factually, it's nonsense.
Complete nonsense.
But looking at it, it gives us this really interesting window into how online conspiracy culture works, how it intersects with celebrity, and just how wild interpretations can get. The key takeaway, maybe, is just how compelling narrative building can be for people, even without facts.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What does the existence and the detail of a theory like this actually tell us? About how we process information now, about our relationship with celebrities, with the unknown.
That's a good question.
Maybe it makes you think about other really out there theories you've heard. What makes them stick? Is it just distrust of authority? Or is there something else, something about wanting to feel like you have secret knowledge?
Definitely food for thought. So, as you're scrolling, as you're consuming information, keep exploring, stay curious.
But always, always question the source and look critically at the evidence, or the lack thereof.